I'm Felicia Perry, the Executive Director of the West Broadway Business and Area Coalition. I want to remind you of WBC's commitment to connecting you to available resources, as well as working with our community partners to create new ways to resource and meet the needs of the business community. Our Northside Business Luncheons are a monthly gathering for networking and information on select topics. We've hosted this month's Business Luncheon virtually.
Hello everyone, this is Warren McLean, President of N.E.O.N. First, I want to reiterate that N.E.O.N is here for you. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Call us at 612-302-1505 or email us at info@neon-mn.org. We'll get back to you within 24 hours, if not sooner. We know that the effects of the recent uprising are still being felt by business owners. If you have a Northside business that has experienced damages, we encourage you to reach out to Stephen Obeyawana at stephen@neon-mn.org. He can help you navigate the insurance process and connect you with legal services if necessary. You can also find these resources on N.E.O.N's website under Northside Business Damages. Once again, N.E.O.N staff is here for you and your business. You are not alone. We hope you enjoy the discussion.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Felicia. And so many faces that I haven't seen in a little while as we have been socially distanced. My name is Brett Buckner. I'm the managing director, first of all, with onemn.org, which is a policy think tank that deals with the issue of racial equity, specifically on the economic and democracy side of things throughout the state of Minnesota. The North Commons Project is basically a labor of love, and that I've been working with for the past 7+ years, including getting to the point where, well, not to the point where we're just waiting on the legislature to actually do something, which probably won't happen. But the reality is that we have an amazing project in partnership with the Minneapolis Park and Rec. This is a approved policy of the Board of Commissioners, and will be in as a part of the Northside Master Plan and the master plans across the city of Minneapolis, the guiding principle on how we reimagine North Commons. First and foremost, North Commons, as you see, is a beautiful park, over 26 acres, but it's one of the most underutilized parks in the system when you look at acreage and also program from there. What you see at North Commons right there, once we get going, you won't recognize most of it. Starting with the community center, we will be building a new community center that will be 3 levels, 1 below ground, 2 above. And we'll have amazing sight lines and spacious areas that will enhance the programming that's taking place there, from our community gatherings, senior programming, etc. But we will also add a field house that will actually expand the recreation activities and be able to use more space throughout the year. So instead of having 1 basketball court, we will now have at least 4, and be able to do other programming, including larger community gatherings and etc. The Aquatic Center, the water park that you see there right now, is going to be changed greatly, where we are going to be able to use it during the, winter. It's going to be a novel idea to be able to swim during the winter. We will have a covered area where we are able to use the pool, as well as expand our water park features, and go from there. Again, what you see before you on the slide right now is the initial concept that we have shared with the state legislature. To give you a heads up on that, this project was adopted by the governor himself. He called it, and from Myron France, who is now moving on to the University of Minnesota, but he was the chief champion to move this thing along in both the House and the Senate. And actually this request that we had to $11.25 million, which was one of the larger requests in the state bonding bill last year, was actually in both the House and the Senate before we started to get into all the fun stuff. So we are actually well positioned once everything kind of settles down with the legislature to start that process, and we'll do a 40% match to move the project on with our other community partners and other corporate interests. But again, as you see, just finishing off, we will be changing the, that will be the northwest corner is now going to be a new field that we can actually put a bubble over it so we can actually use that year round. What that means is that we're going to be moving the current baseball diamond that North High School uses over to Bethune and actually create a full facility. So it actually has ripple effects as well. And also, as you see in the middle of the park, a new ice skating rink that will be refrigerated and then doubles as community space during the spring as well. So again, this new comprehensive plan is to do multiple things. One, expand the capacity and the opportunity. Two, we create a campus. As you know, North High School is right next to North Commons and the YMCA. We have been as thick as thieves in order to move this thing along. But what it does more than anything else, as it expands the capacity, now we're going to be bringing in 7,000 to 10,000 people per weekend, depending on what event is going on. Per our overall activities, which means opportunities for people to enjoy North Minneapolis one way or another, via retail, by going to restaurants as we start to build them, and really start to provide a safe place and a nurturing place for our youth and for our full community. So the biggest thing that we were very proud about through this whole process, and again, this is board approved through the community, was the benefits agreement across the board that's documented in our plan. The reality is that this campus is built on behalf of all of the members and will include planning from community from moment one. That is literally what we have, that we're going to, just as our bedrock, have to hold on to, because we have to build this for us before anybody else. So a couple little fun little features again for, we will have that amphitheater, small little staging area so we can actually have smaller gatherings on the hill just below the ice rink that you see there. Playground will be expanded, tennis courts will be replaced, and basically we're just trying to figure out how to make this one of the most viable projects in the state of Minnesota, which again, the governor and former Commissioner France was excited about, and quite honestly, the Senate and the House, both Republicans and Democrats, were actually supportive of. So that's where we're at. We're really excited about the potential. We've been building relationships across the board in order to make these things happen, including finding new funding sources to really make sure that we have all the things that our kids and families need to make this a regional destination location.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brett, for that update. And I'm just going to move along, just because I know we have a lot to get to James Scott, who's the director of Capri Theater. So James, if you want to start with your update.
Oh, thank you for the picture, Anna. Hi, I'm James Scott. I'm the director of the Capri Theater. I've been with PCYC now for 5 years. And what you see in front of you is close to what we're building. It's an older photo, but is about 15 years in the process of planning and development and fundraising for PCYC, the parent agency of the Capri. It's a 20,000 square foot addition and remodel of the existing 1927 Capri Theater, and then the 20,000 square feet wrapping around the exterior. One of the key elements that you can see in this photo is the Capri marquee will move back prominently on West Broadway, where it was when the building was originally built in 27.
I think James.
260 seats, but new seats. Pardon?
James, can you repeat the last, like maybe 5 seconds? You went out there for a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the Capri Theater will remain ostensibly the same. So the stage will be the same, still capacity around 260 seats, but those will be new seats for those of you who sat in those old seats. Will be a nice new addition. brand new LED lighting system, brand new Axiom audio sound system, and that's an Italian company and will be the first venue in America installing that equipment. So it will hopefully bring some press and some worldwide attention to North Minneapolis and the Capri as folks come in to listen to that system in our space. The big white box that you see here, that's the Paradise Community Hall. So that's a 2,200 square foot space. It's a black box space with an 18-foot grid. Will have its own lighting and sound system and can be set up in a variety of configurations, whether you need a meeting or a banquet or a theater or music or a dance party, a fashion show. We get a lot of requests for fashion shows. The space is flexible and we can set it up any way we like. Both of the spaces have larger lobbies and restrooms, and you can see below the sign that says Capri Arts and Learning Center, there's a 50-foot visual arts wall with a full glass enclosure facing West Broadway. So we're really trying to promote the art out to the street, as well as the activity in the building out to the street. A lot of new support spaces for us that we haven't had in the past. We'll have green rooms and dressing rooms to support the theaters, a serving pantry to support caterers. We won't be able to cook in the space, but it's a prep space for the caterers, as well as a wood shop and a fabric area. I'm a theater guy, so those are my scene shops and my wardrobe area. But we hope to tie that back to PCYC and give youth the opportunity to, through the school, to learn woodworking and sewing skills as well. Second floor has some additional classroom space for PCYC, but the item on the second floor we're proudest of is we'll finally have our Best Buy Teen Tech Center on North Broadway. So that's or on West Broadway, excuse me, in North Minneapolis. That's a 2,500 square foot space that youth 13 to 19, 5 evenings a week after school, probably some weekends as we get into the programming, we'll be able to access a full slate of computers with lots of different softwares, 3D printers, laser printers, CNC routers, large format printers, as well as a full dedicated audio and video recording and editing studio within the space. We'll pair that up with PCYC so the kids in our school will be able to access that equipment as well. But it's a space where technology meets innovation, and it's supported by over 100 clubhouses in over 20 countries. Best Buy funds these. There's one at the library. Summit Academy is trying to get theirs open. Theirs is built and ready to go. They just haven't had a chance to open it yet. So there'll be 7 Best Buy Teen Tech Centers in the Twin Cities once ours is open. So there's a good network for our youth here in the Twin Cities.
Awesome. Sorry, James, I'm going to have to cut you off there.
Okay.
We're on a time limit, but thank you so much. That was really an exciting update. That tech center is going to be awesome. So the next person that we're going to have give an update is Tim Baylor from the Satori Project. So Tim, if you would like to start off there with your update.
There. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present the project that we're working on the Avenue. What we're producing is market rate and market quality mixed use housing right at the corner of Bryant and Broadway. You can see both phases outlined. We've got a 112 unit building. That's a larger building that's adjacent to the Cub Foods, and the smaller building is a 26 unit micro unit building, and both of these projects will be 20% at 50% AMI. The larger building will have a fitness center, a club room, all of the amenities that a lot of the projects and a lot of the apartments have in the area. This quality building will be similar to the ones in, around town, uptown, North Loop, and such. We've got about 3,000 square feet on the first level, and we are looking for a quality upscale fine dining establishment other than McDonald's. We're trying to locate a good sit-down restaurant to accommodate the community as well as the residents. The smaller building, as you can see, again, the smaller building, similar design and similar building materials as the larger building. We want to create that symmetry and continuity on the avenue. The wood inlay that you see on the smaller building is to accent the opening and the entrance. In this building, there's also about 1,100 square feet of office space, and we'll be leasing that out to a company, if not my own organization. The third level sets back so that there are outdoor terraces for the residents, and it also helps with the loads and of snow and things like that in the wintertime. And there is bike storage inside the lobby when you enter the building as well. I think the next slide shows the back of the building. And as you see, the first level steps back so that those residents will have a patio as well. And there's about 9 or 10 parking stalls. These are first floor parking stalls, first level parking stalls that will be for the residents as well. The financing, this smaller Satori loft will be using conventional financing. The larger building will be a HUD mortgage, and we are on track for spring of 2021 construction start for both of these projects. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, but I wanted to stay within my 5-minute limit.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tim. That was an excellent update. So we do have one more update and then we'll get to the panel. So the next update is from George Sherman of Sherman Associates. And so George, if you'd like to start with your update.
Sure. This is George Sherman. The project in the view here is the 800 West Broadway project that was completed a couple years ago. The first floor in this project involves both the Minneapolis School District, the deed, and North Point Clinic. They've gone back and it's been open. I think it's been vibrant and very important to the north side. The school district has changed its concept in the educational center a couple of times since they opened. Originally, it was going to be a program to help 11th and 12th graders transition to college programs. Now, because of just some constraints on the school district, it's more of a adult learning center. The Hennepin deed is still very active, I think, and North Point is very committed and active to the project. On the first floor, there is a little bit of retail. We could never find the great restaurant that Tim is going to bring to the neighborhood, so we're counting on Tim to bring it to the south side of the street. But PPL did take that corner space, so all of the commercial space in the building is leased. Obviously, during some of the turbulent times, it was boarded up for a while. There was some vandalism done to it, but for the most part, this building escaped a lot because it's a community building and not in, I think people recognize the community services that we offer. Just generally, we've been always struggling a bit with parking for the building. It had no parking when it was built. We've been working with the church next door and with 800 West Broadway to provide adequate parking. We're still hopeful that someday we can provide some more parking across the street at Cub Center. The tenants at one time were looking at reducing in size last year. I think the city And the whole community has stepped up to convince them to continue their commitment to provide services. And I think there are monthly meetings with this very committed group of service providers, and we're very much trying to keep them focused on providing the necessary services, jobs, education, and healthcare. A couple other projects that we're involved in on West Broadway. There's a housing project called Broadway Curve that is located about 8 blocks to the west. It's a parcel that's been owned by the city for quite a while. We expect groundbreaking on that to occur in January, closing in December. It will involve affordable housing and townhome, larger family housing on a strip, West Broadway, that has been vacant for quite some time. It's well known as the Broadway Curve. It's where the curve occurs on West Broadway, just west of this site. In about 54 it's actually about 60 housing units, and that all the financing for that has been obtained, and we are simply working through the final city finance documents for the TIF approval. That was part of the original application request. There is a good chance that will close in December, just timing wise for the city. In addition to that, on 800 West Broadway, where Tim has a great restaurant. I actually think it's a fabulous restaurant. We've been working with our tenants after the riots to rebuild and reopen. It's been slow. I hope that the North Memorial Clinic did reopen fairly quickly, but they will be moving. They will no longer be at that center in about 1.5 years. U.S. Bank is entering into a long-term lease with us to stay on West Broadway. That's important as part of their financial commitment, I guess, to N.E.O.N, others. This is about the only bank left on West Broadway. But they will be resizing their facility, but they will be committing to another 10 to 15-year lease as part of that. Some of the other tenants are opening up slowly, and we have been working with them to try and get as many of them opened up by the fall of this year. We think those that, at the end of the day, I think we'll be releasing about 15,000 square feet of the 60,000 square foot center as a result of both the COVID issues and the issues that resulted from the riots. So there is a releasing program that's going on. We are also working on a fairly significant refurbishment of that center. It's now approaching 35. It's built in 1985, so it's approaching almost 35 years. And we're working on, a $3 to $5 million refurbishment of it, and trying to make sure that it stays, as an attractive amenity for the West Broadway business community. And then finally, many of us on this are working with the city overall on just trying to rebuild Minneapolis. And I think everybody who's involved on this conference is critical for that. I meet and I talk to the mayor's staff weekly about raising funds for rebuilding West Broadway, and about lobbying our legislators for U.S. Bank coming through was important. We had ongoing conversations about their presence on West Broadway and their commitment to it. But we're trying to make sure that there are funds adequate for minority businesses and for using property owners to rebuild. And I think we're working as closely with the city staff and our legislative staff to try and make raise a significant amount of money to see the rebuilding on West Broadway. Those are all happening by phone calls, and obviously the legislature is tough right now. But there are more private commitments coming. That's my brief update.
Awesome. Thank you so much, George. And thank you to everyone who gave updates. It's really great to know about the development projects that are going on, especially, with buildings being boarded up, just knowing that there is development happening and that there is that dedication, I think is really powerful. So I'm just gonna quick stop sharing my screen here. Okay, so I'm gonna go into talking about the panelists really quick, just give some brief little bios, and then we're gonna go into the panel. So our first panelist, and panelists, if you could give a little wave when I say your name. The first panelist is Aarica Coleman, and she's a senior project coordinator at the City of Minneapolis, CPEDS department. She has over 20 years of public and private real estate development and finance experience. Through passion and a commitment to social and reparative justice, she focuses on housing development and sustainability in and with communities that are marginalized and structurally disenfranchised through advocacy, policy, and economic and political education. So thank you so much, Aarica, for joining us. And then our next panelist is Calvin LittleJohn. And Calvin is one of the founders of Try Construction and has a vision to build and develop a community-based business that has spanned 70 plus years, providing strategic planning resulting in a successful commercial construction company. Calvin's intentions for the next decade is for Try Construction to advance as one of the largest industry leaders as a certified minority general contractor. Calvin has made a commitment to creating opportunities and supportive leadership for women, veterans, craft workers, and minorities through managerial and field profession. So thank you so much, Calvin, for joining us. And Calvin's also a N.E.O.N client, just putting that in there, and really a pillar of the North Side here. And then our final panelist, I believe she is on. If not, I'll just give an update, and I can't quite see her. So the final panelist.
Is Dominique on? Is it for Dominique?
Yeah, it's for Dominique.
I don't know that she's on the call, but Dominique, if you are, send me a message on here.
Okay. Okay, well, if she joins later, I'll give a little update, but she works with City of Lakes Community Land Trust doing their commercial aspect of that. So, okay, so without any further ado, I'm gonna start with just the questions. And then if you have any questions for the panelists, attendees, just put them in the chat and I'll try to get to them. And if we don't get to them now, I'll send them to the panelists and try to get them answered later. You can also put your business cards and stuff in there just to communicate after this. Okay, so the first question is, and this is specifically for Calvin, some of them are for specific people, is how did you become a developer?
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, so for us, becoming a developer was really by chance opportunity. We've got a project moving 9/27 that we should be closing on at the end of this month, getting construction started very beginning of next month, 10-month schedule. That really came by opportunity. We've been looking at that project for the past 7-8 years from everyone who has had a desire to look at that project and redevelop it, but nothing has ever taken place. Phillips Foundation, Jay and Rose Family Foundation had a desire to move their foundation to North Minneapolis, but did not want to own a building long-term as a nonprofit. And so they originally came and talked to us as a construction company looking for us to put numbers to the project, but Try Construction has always had a desire to become there is our project. Try Construction has always had a desire to become a developer as well. And so the conversation just kind of merged where they made us a great offer saying, hey, why don't you become our partner? They bring the assets. We bring the construction. We've got a third partner, Chris from New Rules. And so the development really became a great opportunity to create wealth inside of North Minneapolis
by making sure that 2 minority Black-owned businesses have the opportunity to have ownership within inside their community. And so we've been at this for the past 3 years, but it's really been connected in, being at the right place, right time, and being in a place where when opportunity knocks, you can capitalize on it. Like I said, we've been doing construction now for 17 years, been in the heart of North Minneapolis, 14 of those total years, or 12 of those total years. So blessing from up above, that's the way I put it.
Awesome, thank you. And thank you for that update, Calvin, on the 927 building. That'll be a really powerful project and a great example of that collaboration. Just a quick little follow-up with that. How you said the collaboration came about because Jay and Rose Phillips Family Foundation, they were looking to, move into North, but not be, a permanent building owner. How did those conversations start? Who facilitated the conversations? How did you get this collaboration? How did Chris come in? Because that collaboration is really important for development.
It really started from the city, CPED. So the foundation was talking to CPED, looking at vacant and available buildings on the corridor. And so we were having conversations with Jim Terrell, as well was Chris. And so he kind of facilitated bringing their organization in to have conversations with community-led businesses. And from there, it was a very easy conversation. They were very transparent in saying that as a large nonprofit with considerable millions of dollars in assets, they are not looking to perpetuate the idea of another large non-minority business coming in, buying up property and continuing the conversations around displacement and or regentrification. That was not what they wanted to do, as they wanted to really focus on how do they take what they do as a nonprofit and bring those resources and knowledge and money and their programs to North Minneapolis, but do it in a different way that puts, again, the emphasis on how do you create wealth and opportunities for businesses who are currently doing business. And also for me, I am a resident of North Minneapolis as well, right? How do you put our community in positions of power and strength and set us up for long-term wealth generation? That's really what the conversation is all about. And that's really was the Phillips Foundation's lens of how they want to contribute positively to North Minneapolis.
Awesome, thank you so much, Calvin. So the next question, and that really relates to what you were saying, what are the funding opportunities and mechanisms, both public and private, available to developers? And then how do you go about applying? So, Aarica can definitely talk about that through the city lens. And you talked about that with the partnership lens, Calvin. So I just want to open that up to both of you.
I will speak from a little our ground level. I mean, this was our very first development, so it's drinking through a fire hose. I mean, I can say for Track Construction, it's a very brand new experience as far as being a developer and really understanding all of the funds that are out there. Chris, who operated as our project manager, did a great job, but the city has funds. We got funds from the city, matching funds. We got LCDA grants from Council. There is private funds. The foundation came with some of their dollars, tax credits, historic tax credits. If you build, if you are in a position to get something going, there are a lot of sources that are available. And again, it really started with CPED. CPED is a great partner and a great champion to start having conversations around developments, their contact sources. Again, the first one, huge learning curve. but the support from our city and our community organizations as N.E.O.N, all of that support system is right there.
Aarica, can you talk about that since you work for CPED, what those mechanisms are, how people go about, if someone is looking to do a development project, how can the city help them with that?
So thank you, Anna. Thank you, Calvin. So there's multiple ways. One, it starts out with social capital, right? So it's a lot of real estate is who you know. I cannot go forward without acknowledging the fact that Minneapolis being predominantly Black, Indigenous people of color, but that in real estate, Black folks in particular are kept out, and in commercial real estate, it's even stronger. Real estate is an old white man's business, and commercial real estate in particular is for the elite, knowledgeable white men that know how to navigate this and use their social capital. So where the city can and should and does play a role is making those connections, in which it has done with Calvin and with Chris from New Rules and with Jay and Rose Phillips Family Foundation. But that takes the implementers that are at the city. It's not the city as a whole. It's the implementers that work in the staff. So there are many opportunities that the city has. One in particular is the 2% loan as far as the commercial side. The 2% loan that is available to help with purchasing rehabilitation or purchasing equipment for a property. I also want to say that the city can and does provide a bridge with Hennepin County, because we have to be honest that Hennepin County tax forfeited land owns some property on West Broadway that they have been sitting on for years. And have not decided to work with the city or work with community on how to develop that. So when you are looking at things, approaching the city, approaching the implementers at the city, yes, the policymakers, but the implementers staff, such as Jim Terrell, such as myself in housing, such as, oh, there's multiple people in multifamily housing, but we all are working together and we're all in CPED. Metropolitan Council. Like Calvin mentioned, LCDA, which is Livable Communities Development. I work with that too. So LHIA, different things with Met Council, neighborhood organizations. They don't have as much money, but they have some. And they also have a foot in with the city on how to use some of that funding, and HUD, as as Tim mentioned about some of the development. So the city can be the conduit. So not just providing funds, but providing the social capital that is needed for Black developers, Black business owners, Black residents, and people, period, in the city of Minneapolis to be able to learn, know how, and move forward for opportunities for not only having a business, growing a business, maintaining it, sustaining it, and being able to actually thrive. And so we are public servants. A lot of people don't hear that from the city, but I fully understand who I work for. And I work for the residents of the city of Minneapolis. And so it is our job to make sure we are bringing forward information and that we are bringing forward policy and programs to benefit the needs and the requirements of our residents in the city of Minneapolis and our business owners and our great business owners that actually live in Minneapolis.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aarica. And that's a really good point about social capital. It's really an insider game that is racist and sexist. And so having an advocacy, having someone to advocate for you institutionally is really, really important. And setting up those financing mechanisms for people is very important. So thank you so much for that insight. And then the next question here, and this, and the rest of the questions are really for both of you two, but are there specific funding opportunities available for minority contractors that are actually accessible? Because that, I know, can be an issue.
Well, that's a double question. So yes, first of all, I'm gonna say off rip, I don't like the term minority. As a Black woman, I am not less than anybody else. And so Is there funding available for BIPOC or women-owned entities? Yes. Are they easily accessible? No. That's just the bureaucracy and the red tape of navigating government at this time. What I will say is that due to the civil uprising, which is a revolution, I'm gonna call it what it is, there are opportunities coming out of it. There is more focus on Black, Indigenous people of color, low income, and what that means to actually grow wealth, and what growing wealth looks like, and what that means, and is defined by those that have been disenfranchised and marginalized by the systems that are in place. So there is funding available at the city level and also at the state level. Again, myself, Jim Terrell, Zotiel, excuse me, with the small business team at the city of Minneapolis, amazing team, all help navigate those types of opportunities. And they are purposefully not accessible, but we are at a time and a place where we can all change that. And starts right here. So there's a lot on this call that I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. I also want to bring up that don't always depend on traditional sources of financing or funding. We are a community that we can fund ourselves. You have seen money flow in to different entities right now, and different entities that are looking to truly do work in and with community. Those entities or that money has less restrictions than a typical financing opportunity. And when I say financing, that's exactly what I mean. Financing means you got to pay it back. Financing means you have an interest payment on that. That's what financing means. So community pulling together to do things such as grow money and go in together on a building, a business, a property, land. That is a great opportunity and one of the key ways to move forward with like-minded individuals. Yes, we have funding available through such as traditional funding, such as the banks. That's very hard to get if you don't have the proper paperwork or the history of doing this or being in business long enough and showing that you have a cash flow. Also, the philanthropic community. We are full of philanthropic organizations in Minnesota. Tap into that. I know for a fact, Jay and Rose Phillips Family Foundation has a goal and initiative of looking and working in and with the BIPOC community. POLAD Foundation has switched and changed in the past couple of years due to their, they call them 4G, but it's their fourth generation that has come in that's a little bit younger. And then there's other smaller organizations that are philanthropic that do a lot. And I bring them up because they can be major partners that not only provide funding, but social capital, knowledge, and then long-term opportunities.
That is great. And I'm seeing in the chat, people are really excited. Like, please send a list of those entities with funding sources. We will be consulting with the panelists after this, everyone, to get information, and we'll be sharing all that with everyone as well. So that will definitely be a follow-up. And then you mentioned this a little bit, Aarica, about the barriers in place to receiving funding, how they're purposefully designed, especially, you know, institutionally at the city with banks, to be difficult. What are ways where those barriers could be decreased? And then what are ways that maybe the community could create their own funding sources so that those barriers don't exist?
Well, one, again, I'm gonna acknowledge that every last system is built on white supremacy and racism. So that's why the barriers exist in education, funding, financing, government, whatever system you wanna, that's just the history of our country. One of the ways that you can navigate is one, knowledge. I am a firm believer that you cannot change a system to make it equitable or work for those if you don't know how that system actually works in the first place. That is how people get us, where we call for something and basically you haven't used the proper terminology, or you don't know what fully is available, and so then nothing happens. So one, it's learning how the systems operate. So that would be case in point how Calvin and Tri-Construction have done. They backed into being a developer. I have to mention that a developer is really just the person that puts the deal together. Developer does not mean you have the money. Developer literally just puts the deal together. So everyone and anyone can be a developer, and that is housing or commercial. Now, mind you, you're going to need a whole bunch more to actually execute a deal, but a developer just puts it together. So Tri-Construction backed into being a developer in this instance, but they had years of experience and knowledge to be able to do it. So they are learning some of the ins and outs of how some of the other pieces of the system works, but they're able to navigate it because they have a powerhouse such as J. Rose Phillips Family Foundation. So one, learning how the system works, getting in there, and again, using those, leveraging your relationships. I'm gonna go ahead and call him out because he's on the call. George Sherman is a huge relationship to be able to leverage. Tim Baylor's a huge relationship to be able to leverage. Sorry, y'all, but y'all on the call, so I'm gonna put you on the spot. Leveraging those relationships to be able to have your plan written down, okay? Have it written down to be able to approach people and say, this is what I'm looking to do. How can I work with certain individuals, not necessarily partner, because I'm not always going to promote that you got to have a bunch of partners where everybody's taking a piece of what you're trying to do. But moving forward with that, sorry, there was a second part to your question, Anna.
Oh yeah, just about kind of different, funding mechanisms that community can create, like cooperatives. I know that's why we were going to have Dominique on there to talk about, commercial land trusts and everything. But if, you or Calvin have any insights on that, that would be really helpful, just to really take the power back into community hands with financing.
So cooperatives, yeah.
Got a little input.
Just a little.
Just a little input, right?
I'm actually on the Commercial Land Trust Advisory Board. I will say this, cooperatives are one of the oldest forms of funding community or working together before it had the name cooperative. It's a matter of like-minded individuals with a goal, working towards that by putting their resources, whether that is financial, knowledge, social, putting their resources together to achieve that goal within a certain time frame. So yes, I'm all for cooperatives. We do it naturally without the organization. Commercial Land Trust is one avenue, one stepping stone. And I want to be clear that it's a stepping stone. I am a real estate broker. And when you don't own the land, you are limiting yourself severely. So I will say that as an advisory board member, the Commercial Land Trust is an opportunity for those that are not able to be financed in the traditional market or to have enough social or financial capital to navigate the government or other systems at play, to be able to put their business, their physical business, in a location that works for them at a affordable amount. So whether that's renting or whatnot, an affordable amount. Commercial also includes multifamily housing, because once you get over 5 units, you are in commercial. So that is an aspect that can be incorporated in commercial land trust. But Calvin, go ahead.
I would also say understanding the value that your organization brings toward every conversation, every deal, right? And as I think about, because of the murder of George Floyd, right? The conversation and the narrative that I've witnessed has switched wholeheartedly, right? There is this push and a conversation set of how do we get Black and brown businesses work, right? And so if I think back to, from a funding side of things, we've been doing this from a commercial standpoint for 14, 15 years, being in business for 20. funding opportunities for this Black-owned business has been impossible. We have grown a business for these past 14 years with no banking relationship, with no line of credit. Last year, we did $9.6 million with no funding from any bank. How do we do that? We understand that we have value in the marketplace from being a Black-owned business. And there's a lot of business that needs to get allocated toward our Black and brown and women-owned businesses, right? And so as we've even talked about our 927 development, as we've secured funds, be it from LCDA, be it from the city of Minneapolis's forgivable, 40-year forgivable, as we've secured funds from a new market tax credits that has come through US Bank, right? What Chris, with New Rules and Tri-Construction, brought to our 927 is diversity, right? And some of the funds, these funds that I just mentioned, the project could not have got those funds without having diversity, minority, Black businesses. Let me say, was it Tupac or you don't like the word minority, so I'm trying to add to my lingo.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna like it, but you say whatever you need to say.
But what's the wording that you just said? I'm trying to.
Oh, I said Black, Indigenous, people of color, so I said BIPOC.
BIPOC, there it is. I can't say Tupac.
I was like, why is you getting that man's name wrong? What's wrong with you? No.
BIPOC. So there is value from a BIPOC side of what you bring to deals and conversations, right? So as a business owner, you may not have cash, right? But don't underestimate the value that your organization brings to any conversation and any lens as we talk about how to back into a deal, walk into a deal, kick the door open to get into a deal. Don't shortchange your value in this marketplace.
So I do want to add, yeah, don't shortchange your value. And I think a lot of us know our value. You need to sell your value. You know your value. You already know what you bring to the table. That's why you're here. That you already know, but you got to sell it. You have to market it. I'm not able to keep up with the comments, but I've seen at least 2 or 3 about youth. So want to definitely get to that. There is not anything that I know of that is specific to youth, especially Black, Indigenous, people of color, or Black and Indigenous youth, right?
BIPOC.
Yes. But I think there's enough right now that needs to be pushed even further about our youth and about where is their place in the marketplace and how are we honoring what they need, especially as, I don't even want to call them future leaders, as leaders right now. How are we honoring what they need and how are we making sure that youth and the initiatives that they are moving forward with that benefit all of us, regardless of our age, truly benefit all of us, are funded or supported. So I do not have that. Youth component can be created. I don't know that would be the city, because where the city stands right now, from what I see, a youth component is in violence prevention. So it's either in violence prevention or housing. But I haven't seen anything that's supportive of entrepreneurs or, again, anybody that just didn't do post-secondary in a typical way. So that is an avenue that is definitely needed, and I don't have resources for the youth, but I'm supportive of it.
I think about from where we are as a business, right? So as a union contractor, our journeyman salaries are somewhere around $70,000 per year once a person reaches a journeyman salary. This year, we've hired 2 younger African Americans who have become tapers, right? 19. What we are seeing is their sphere of influence around their friends. 19 years old, work several non-career type jobs. Now that they're in the union, making great money, we have their friends now calling. Is there an opportunity for me to get a job? Is there an opportunity for my friend, right? As we get our youth exposed as business owners, right? As we create opportunities for our community, right? I'm seeing this direct tie-in where our phone is starting to ring with more youth now saying, how do I get the opportunity that my friend just got? How can I get into the construction trades, right? So as we start our businesses, as we reach out to the sphere of influence of people who we know and create opportunities for them, now the word starts to spread. Now that economic dollar starts to turn around inside our community. They're going to start looking to buy houses. They're going to start looking to join the middle class, right? Why? Because we as business owners, not only have we made a way for our businesses to grow, but we've turned back around and said, how do we now create opportunities, right, within inside of North Minneapolis, for North Minneapolis residents, right? That is one of the lenses that we said, how do we impact our youth? Let's give them the same opportunities and the same jobs that every other community has for growth and sustainability and for economic opportunity. So.
Okay, perfect, Calvin. So just because we're past 1 o'clock and I just have a few really quick updates. Thank you so much. That's a really good point about getting youth interested in development through career pathways. Because I mean, everyone, needs to make money. And it's a great way to get exposed to that at the same time and building those connections. So really quick, before we wrap up here, I have 2 quick little announcements. So I'm going to share my screen here. We have the luncheons scheduled for the rest of the year until December. And so if you can see that graphic right there. So we will be posting this later today with all the different topics. The next topic, kind of continuing on of the planning, zoning, and development topic, is going to be the Blue Line extension and its impacts, because we know that now the deal fell through with the rail line, and so there's been a lot of talk of it going somewhere through North Minneapolis. So we're going to have a panel on that next month. And then we're going to be releasing the application for Black Friday on Broadway Friday. And so for those of you who don't know, that's the annual holiday market that N.E.O.N and WBC organize. And we're really revamping it this year. We're going to have it in a different location. I can't announce that yet, but it'll be really exciting on West Broadway, bigger location, so we can do social distancing. And then we're also going to have a really strong technical assistance component, which will be free for the vendors to help them with their website and marketing. And it'll be a cohort model to really share ideas between the vendors and get that up and running, especially in light of online retail being so important. We're also going to have a website this year for it too. So really exciting stuff. So keep an eye out for that. And I know we're 3 minutes past time, so I just want to thank all the panelists and the people that gave updates. We really appreciate the time that you took, and we will be sending out that list of information to everyone soon. So thank you so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week.
We appreciate you taking time to tune in to this month's Northside Business Luncheon. You can find out more about our future luncheons by signing up for the WBC mailing list that can be found at www.westbroadway.org. The West Broadway Business and Area Coalition, we lead initiatives to bring businesses, nonprofit organizations, and neighbors together to create an inviting and vital West Broadway corridor. I truly believe that working collectively, we can transform the North Side into a thriving economic community. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next month. Bye.